One.
Oh,
It
no.
starts. It's a one.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Wait a minute. It's been a long... Let me wipe some of this oil off my face. It's been a while. I'm about to introduce Why is it saying rotate? I'm about to introduce everybody. How's everybody tonight?
Good.
Happy festival time. Hey, Iyas, come on, holla. Holla. Yes. So, sorry I'm running a little late. It was a day party in DC I had to go to. Sorry. Had to be respectful. So, if you don't know me, I'm Iya Oyawumi. Obo Ato. Oyawumi Awo Sade. Y'all, I got 10 million names, but y'all just get those. Iya Sade. And so tonight at the round table, I'm going to introduce my lovely aunties and sisters. This is... And your name is Iya. Asake. I didn't even know that. And Iya. Ashe.
Jerry.
Iya.
And I am Iya Oshunikantu Egbeni who Ajoke Ifa Bossede.
Yeah. Ashe.
Hi, Iya Oshun Bolaji Omidale Ekbe Fumilayo.
Ajala.
Ajala.
You trying to reject us and stuff? So, this is a round table. This is so improv, and we're gonna, get started.
I think I need watermelon.
You need some water? Oh, let me bring the watermelon.
That piece right there is fine.
Right here.
Yeah. You need Prosecco. I need Prosecco, no.
Watermelon and Prosecco does go together.
It's gonna be a while.
It goes together, yes, it does.
Pour it on the watermelon.
Did you need a knife?
Thank you. Nope.
Okay. So, after this video, y'all gonna have 10 million questions, and we're gonna be ready to answer them. I got my greens and my chicken. We got her watermelon. We got our Prosecco and orange juice. We about to get it in. So I just wanted to open up. Today we're gonna touch on a little bit about Ori and some other stuff, because this is impromptu and I don't know what else is gonna come up out the roots today. So let me give you a little story about last year. A lot of people don't know my inner business, so this will be the first time I'm telling this story to the public. Last year, I left Nigeria last August with my family and my goddaughter. Well, my two of my sons, 2 out of 3 of my sons, and my goddaughter. And when we left Nigeria to come home, my youngest son got sick on the airplane. And he got sick on the airplane. And at that time, I was just fevering and things like that. The medicine that I had didn't work. And so when we got off in Paris, they tested him for malaria, and it was positive. And I had panicked and reached out to my husband, and he divined. He asked Ifa, was it safe for me to bring my son home and we get off in Atlanta and he go be seen at the hospital in Atlanta? And that's like a 9-hour flight. At that point, this in the first time in my life ever, I went against the advice of Ifa and said, nah, I'm staying in Paris. I didn't have no money. And on to another thing, thank God I had got my credit together, because I didn't have cash, euros, any of that. I had a credit card that did work in another country. And if I didn't have my finances together, I wouldn't have had a credit card. So just FYI, that's a whole different subject. Get your finances together. So I stayed and didn't know a lick of French. And my goddaughter knew French. I was panicking so bad. that what the flight attendant said, you can stay or you can leave, right?
Well, she said because they were your children.
Yeah.
That they said, well, because I'm off camera, how y'all, could stay off the plane, could stay on the plane. They're like, well, she can go back on the back in the airport with the boys, and you can stay on the flight. And she looked at me and she's like, well, you can go ahead and go. And I was like, she doesn't speak a lick of French. There's no way in the world I'm leaving her across the ocean with these two boys. And so I got off the plane with them, and like we were on the plane, boarded, everything was done. The paramedics came on the plane.
The paramedics,
and took us off. Took us off the plane.
Took us off, yes.
And then it was a lot.
It was so much drama. It was very frightening because in order to get back on the plane, let me turn this around. In order to get back on the plane, I had to get a letter from the hospital. So I had to stay in Paris and get a letter from the hospital. We went to some extremely nasty hospital. It was extremely dirty. Oh God, it was just like a nightmare hospital. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. But they saved my baby. We stayed overnight and we left that next afternoon. I think afternoon or evening. I don't
early
remember.
Afternoon. Yeah.
It was very interesting. And my egg bae, which was Ia Balaji, stayed and helped and spoke French and all of that, and was just amazing. But getting to the point is that I listened to my Ori.
I sure.
My Ori led me. Is your Ori is your first divinity that you come with into this divine world. No Orisha, no none. The ancestors. This come first right here. As I was told by my elders, no Orisha, no man, no woman, no witch, no wizard can curse you or bless you without the consent of your Ori first. So I had to really sit still out of all my fears and listen to my inner self first, and separate the the voices, that what you want to hear, your conscious self and then your subconscious self. I had to really be still and hear my Ori, and my Ori led me to helping the people, to get with the people to help save my son, my then 3-year-old. So I was chatting with one of my elders, E.L. Shunikatmi. Let me get these off here because I want all of the... How do I take that off? And she was just... How do you take these off?
The comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
I forgot.
Yeah,
I don't know how to
right.
do it, but it'll come. So we were chatting, and she was like, yeah, it's some old dudes that talk about Orisha leaving you for this and that, but your Ori will always be there. And I said, yo, that's deep. So you saying, or y'all would leave me for such and such? She's like, yep. Oshun will leave me for such, yep. But your Ori is going to be, I said, damn. So that means a lot. And not to say Orisha don't love us, not to say our ancestors, our Egbe don't love us, don't care for us. But yo, this is so important to perpetuate your Ori on a regular and to be so connected and listening and being still that it can save your life. Just think about that.
I should.
Just think about that. So yeah, I shouldn't have you go. Can you like comment on that?
I'm going to comment on that. I was looking for, there's 2 verses from 2 different Odu. Well, let me tell you what Odu are first, for those who don't know. And I'm going to use a reference, just if you don't like it, then just don't. Bible, the books of the Bible. Okay, you got Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. That's the first 5. So Genesis would be number 1. Exodus would be number 2, etc., etc., etc. So it's similar to that with the Odu, because you get different numbers for the Odu. All right, you get different names for the Odu. So with these couple of names, there you go. With these couple of names for the Odu, these Odu have verses in them. So those are people who think that Ifa is just some hocus pocus. No. for those of us who are diviners, we've got to learn those verses.
Yes.
Because people come to us and they are trusting us with their lives. It's just like my nursing practice. I can't go into nursing not knowing what I'm doing. Okay? So I have to learn the verses also. And they are in these Odu. So
What book is that?
this is Baba Abimbola. This is my first Oluo. Very wise man. Elder. 86, 87 years old. Okay. The first one that I wanted to talk about was, and I'll talk about, you can tell me if you want me to talk about both of them right now. Wait.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the first one, Ogunda Meiji. That's the name of that Odu.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're talking about Ori. That's the one she was talking about when she said that, okay, I have Oshun on my head first. Oshun will leave me and go and have, I don't know, echo or something. She would go and leave if somebody offered her echo. She'd go off and get the echo and leave you there. Same with Shango, Kabiesi. He would go off for some Amalan Bakery and he'd leave. You be there. Your Ori ain't going nowhere. Now, when they told me that, when I thought about that verse, I thought about it from a nursing perspective, a medical, because I'm going to go between them two things.
Yeah.
If you ain't got no head on your neck, you dead.
Right.
Your head got to go with you. It's going with you. Or, if your mind is not clear, if you got, like, if you speeding on some hallucinogens or some stuff like that, your head is not connected to the rest of you, it's off in space someplace, you still got a problem. So, your Ori being connected is extremely important. Now, the next thing, when she was saying that she went against what Ifa said one time. Now, this other verse, Ogbe Yonu, Ogbe Ogunda, talks about Afuape, who was going on a journey from heaven to earth, or from home to the marketplace. And people said, go straight there, don't stop, just go straight to earth. And he wasn't feeling it. He said, no, I don't think so. I think I'm going to stop at my father's house. I'm going to get divination. Well, along the way, he did his elbow. He did his offering. Then he met the gatekeeper. Now, the gatekeeper we look at as Elegba. Okay, but that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into what people think about Elegba. People who don't know Elegba. We'll talk about that later. But let's talk about, okay, he met the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper was fixing some food, just long story short, and he was using ashes instead of salt. So Afuape had some salt. He gave him some salt. He was so appreciative and loved it so much that he took him straight to the Ajala's house, the keeper of the heads. Okay, now, you have to choose your Ori before you come. That's our belief system. You choose your Ori, choose your head. So let's just take, for example, Dylan Roof, whatever that little boy's name was that shot up them people in that church. He chose a crazy-ass head, okay? Yeah. And he getting an ass whipping in prison. He should have, because he chose a really bad head. Then you got some other people chose really good heads. So, the problem was the keeper of the heads, I forget his name, the keeper of the heads was a drunk. He had issues, and he was a creditor, or credit person, debtor, right, thank you. So he'd be ducking and hiding from time to time, and he'd be on have his good days and his bad days. So people go in there and choose a head, they choose a faulty head. And it talked about how they would be on their journey to earth, and it'd start raining really hard, pieces of their head be falling off. Wow. It did. That's what the Odu says. Yes. It talks about how that would happen. And then those people would get to earth and they would have a really, really hard time. Okay, so then other people chose a good head or a sturdy head. So the gatekeeper took him to the house of Ajala. Ajala, I guess because the gatekeeper took him in and tested the heads. He threw them on the ground to see if it was going to bust. He hit it with sticks to see if it was going to break. He did all sorts of things. So Afuape came to earth with a good head. Now what they say is we're choosing our destiny before we get here. We choose it and then we go through the birthing process. It makes us forget everything. So then once we get here, we have to, oh wow, what did I come here for? What did I come here for? That's where Esentaye comes in. But then people don't know about Esentaye. That's what they have for babies traditionally to see what their destiny is, what their allergies are, where they don't need to go, what kind of schooling they need to have, blah, 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 blah.
And also to make that first elbow to get them going on the
Yes.
right direction.
To make that first elbow.
Yeah, clear out the wahala.
Right, but these are tools that were purposely gotten rid of that we don't have anymore, so we had to figure it out, and some of us are late. So, that's the short of it, because it's a long story.
Yeah, it's long.
That's
It's many
short.
verses, so many verses.
Many verses. Those are two about the importance of Ori.
So when people choose, when they have a bad head, the only thing that can fix it is what?
Lots of hard work.
Elbow, hard
Lots
work.
of sacrifice and lots of hard work, according to the translation of the Odu by Ogunwande. And you have
Lots of work.
lots of hard
so
work.
a lot of
Being on it,
Ori,
being on it,
a
being
lot
on
of
it, being on
Ebo, Amiero, O'Shea,
Yes.
like constantly. Like you don't stop. You don't relent.
Don't stop.
That's what Bible say. You do not relent. It's like being you have to be proactive on your work. You can't be reactive. When you wait for something to just fall and crumble,
Yes.
being reactive. But can you share some of your I love this here. This beautiful wisdom on your thoughts on or read or anything surrounding that. Like, what you think?
I think so. The cosmology is the cosmology in terms of the story. It was Obegunda about how we come to earth and choose a good head, and I think I chose a good head. So it also says in the verse that even if you choose a good head, you still have to do the work.
Yep.
It's very specific about that. It's not. It says
Yep.
specifically that you can't just choose a good head and strut
Right.
on in and be like, I chose a good head, so all's gonna be good. Fly, there's a fly in here. You still have to do the work. And then I think now this is I'm translating to EIME interpretation of this. This is not coming straight from the Odu. And what I think is that as part of it is our orientation to our own Ori. We have to get to know our own Ori.
Yes.
And part of that
Yes.
is what we experience growing up. Part of it is our Isheshe, meaning what we get from our parents, because we're typically, I'm going to go with the typical situation here. And I know everybody doesn't have a typical situation where you grow up with your parents. But let's go with typical.
Okay.
When you grow up with your parents and your parents have personalities and you absorb things from your parents. And some of the things we absorb from our parents are good. And some of the things we absorb from our parents, I figured out along the way that, you know what, I might need to let that go. I don't want to do that. I don't want to carry that behavior forward into.
Ooh, yes.
So there's that, figuring out that part of our Ori, what things we need to amplify and feed because they will be beneficial to us, and some of the things that we need to leave behind. And some of them are complex, and some of them are really simple. I'll give you a quick example, and then we can talk about something else. For me personally, I had to learn to. So I am a person who works in corporate America, and I've been in managerial leadership positions for a long time. And what gets me is smart people who don't do what they're told. They don't do their job. And it just like...
No, I know what
it
you're
just
saying.
kills me. It's like, people, we're here, we're getting paid, we got these great jobs. We're not working hard. We ain't digging ditches. We're not out in the sun.
Right.
We're not up in the middle of the night. We're not on swings. We're not doing any of these things. And you still cannot do what you were asked to do. So, and as a result of that, I would be very frustrated and walking around with this face on all the time that was uninviting and unfriendly. So the simple thing that I had to do to learn to do was be a little more relaxed, even though, I was really irritated about things, is not to Look, what did Baba Amen tell? Were you there when he told us, when you get angry about something, don't get all upset. Just laugh and cast a joke and smile, and not to let people see.
Like, don't let them see you sweat type thing. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, so that's one of the things, that's Ori. So my Ori had to get into a space where things that were going on around me, I was just like, yeah, okay. And that's why I laugh a lot. And that's why I always have some metaphor. Barb is always talking to me about, how did you come up with that? It's like, yeah, it's a coping mechanism. And so that's part of growing your Ori.
That's some good advice.
It's part of growing your Ori into a space where you just don't. And then so that's letting things go. And then the other side of it, which is embracing things that you get from your progenitors, your mother, your father. I call it embracing.
And sometimes even beyond them.
Yes.
But sometimes it's your grandparents.
Yes. Specifically for my dad, though, I call it embracing my inner Ted.
Yeah.
Because my father was not real chatty, but he wasn't missing anything. You know, if he was in a room full of people in a party, he'd have his drink, and he would be sitting there rocking the ice in his Canadian Club or Bombay, whatever, and saying absolutely nothing. And missing absolutely nothing. So sometimes it's better to just shut up. Observe. Sometimes it's better to just be quiet. And all those things, I think, in my personal journey are cultivation of Ori. You know, it's cultivation of my particular Ori.
And it helped influence and mold who you are today. You know, and like I was saying yesterday, you have to watch what you say to yourself, your Ori, because you're beating your Ori down when you say something negative. And you have to really learn how to, when you're not feeling good, and say, oh, I'm so sick. Oh, I'm so sick of this. Oh, I'm so sick of that. Like, those things your Ori will start to believe and manifest for you.
I think that's part of the journey, though, because if you don't understand our tradition, and you know, we are captured Africans that have been beaten down for 500 years. Yep. And those negative voices that roll around like tapes in the head get passed down.
Yes.
Like tapes
in our DNA.
So they become scripts, they become programs, and they're so ingrained that we act on them. It's just like when a director tells an actor, and you run your script, that it becomes like that. And so because you don't know, and so if personally, as a person in my 20s, not understanding much about the tradition, I knew I was an African person, but I knew nothing, and no history, no clue about Ori or any of those things. So my practice was to beat myself up, hence being my Ori up, like insulting my Ori and not listening to the inner voice and not having confidence in the directions I was being given or told to do. And it is through the work, so a lot of personal work, and then just being pulled and called to the tradition that I understand it. And so at some point I had to make a contract with myself to say I will never ever beat myself up again.
But at what point did you decide that, and did you have like mentorship to help you, assist you? Because sometimes it's difficult to do that by yourself when you don't see anybody.
I think it's a combination of people, places, and things. We talked about that last night, that come to you to help you on your journey.
Yes.
And so I've always been a seeker of truth and yearning for those spirits and those guides and those things that help me, and they have come to me. And so I've been able to cultivate a trust that what I need is coming. And so just the different words, sometimes it could be in a book, sometimes it could be on TV or a conversation with a stranger, that I will get a message and know that it's a message for me. And so this was really right after my initiation to Oshun. That wasn't that long ago that I understood I asked, when I got initiated to Oshun, I asked, show me the places within me that need to be healed. But I wasn't clear on how that should come. And so it wasn't nice. You ask for something to come, and it didn't show up. I thought it was going to be just like, okay, revelation, It was a painful, very difficult.
Like Tojoku, I wear they with more. The spirit that cleans you inside out.
Yes.
Ooh, it's
and
real.
So, but out of that came, I will not do that. Not again will I curse myself, beat myself, downgrade myself for decisions I made as a spiritual person on this human experience. Just making my way, that I will not ever do that again. And so even today, if it tries to come, there's the other voice that counteracts and say,
and it will try to come, like every day of the rest of our life.
And that other voice says no. It's because I already sealed the contract with myself. That would not happen again.
Yes.
And so it is, now you fast forward, and I just listen to the inner me speak. And I do my best to follow instructions.
That's all we can do daily, just bit by bit, bit by bit. So what's your take right quick? Yeah. Yes. It's on you.
Wait. Okay. Well, let me back up a little bit so I'm not all up in the people's face. So what am I? I don't know.
Don't worry.
Oh. Ooh.
What's your take? These greens are good, by the way.
Ori. Well, I'll say. Well, I'll take it from my experience so I'm not doing readings as far I'm not doing readings as far as like official Orisha readings or Aaron De Laguna or anything like that. But I've been reading tarot for I don't know a long time, and when I started reading for other people, I found that essentially what I was doing was helping them with their Ori. Because a lot of times the information would come back to what did they need to do for themselves in order to move forward, something that they weren't doing. I actually just did a post not too long ago on my page about, people have this thing like, oh, what am I going to be doing in 5 years? What am I going to be doing in 10 years? Like, what can I do in the next 6 months to make everything okay? And all the messages I'm getting are stuff they're not doing right now. Like, you're not sleeping enough, or you're not taking care of yourself, or, your kid's okay, things like that. It's get yourself together first, and then you can worry about what's going to happen 5 years from now. Like, you're not going to receive those blessings unless you're okay, unless your Ori is okay. There's sayings and things like that, probably some Odu as well, that speak to the fact that nothing can bless you, no Orisha, your ancestors, nothing, unless your Ori declares it. So a lot of times when I'm praying, I'm praying to the Orisha or whoever I'm praying to, but I'm also praying like, I'm saying my Ori is open to your wisdom, my Ori is open to your blessing, my Ori is open to whatever it is you need to tell me to get through to me. To let me know what's going on, because I want to make sure that this is all open for everything. I'm very grateful in the work that I've been able to do, and that, the way I was raised and things like that. I wasn't raised in such a way that I have a lot of negative self-talk and things like that. But it came from other places, because I went through a lot of, like a lot of us, hit middle school, got a lot of bullying. And a lot of it was very sexualized bullying, which was also strange in a weird sort of way, in its own special way. So a lot of that negativity didn't come from like my parents or, having to deprogram from that, but it came from peers and, all those kinds of things. So it was just having to, and literally like I was in a classroom where it was like I was the only girl at a table. It was like 4 boys, and it was like that was one class where I had some stuff going on, but there was another class where I was between these 2 boys, and both of them were like always like in my ear, like just like saying all this horrible stuff, and it was just, and that was like for like an hour, like for a while, every day, until I told somebody, and all of that, and so that's, we all have to deprogram from something. There's always something happening going on, but yeah, so. Definitely, just from a reader perspective, please If you keep getting the same message over and over and over again, it's not going to change. It don't matter if you sit down with me with the tarot cards, if you sit down one of the ears here with the shells. It don't matter if you go to the Babalawo with the Okwele.
The rooms.
It's going the rooms.
I know people that go get different readings.
Right, exactly.
Looking for the answer to their question. Looking for their answer.
The angelic messages, you know, if they're all telling you the same thing,
I'm gonna add,
you're going to have to go.
but I
And do
think
the
it's
thing.
important that we not discount what a system of oppression that what it's designed to do to a people and how that plays into some of the issues that get passed down. You know, it is what's being broadcast out in so many different ways and modalities about your blackness, your intelligence, your hair texture, all of those things that is still to this day impacting young people and how they value themselves and see themselves as people with self-efficacy. So as a college educator, I see it every day. Students who don't believe and don't trust in their own intelligence, and mainly because who we are culturally is different. And when you are dealing in systems that emphasize and highlight the Western culture, then your whole self then is like no longer legitimate.
Right.
You know, it's like this whole dehumanization process that is constantly happening. So that we're in the business of reducing harm that is happening to young people. So we have to look at sometimes it's not about what's happening in the house. It's about what's happening in systems that are designed to create differential levels of functioning among people, so that status quo can be maintained and power in the world can be maintained.
It's very true.
It's in the diaspora. It's not only in America. I see it in the way it manifests everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen that also.
And just to tie that back to Ori, what I think Thea is saying, sorry, I'm mouth
That's okay.
is that it requires a very strong Ori to maintain focus in the face of all of that daily, continuous, unrelenting.
It's an assault.
It's really an assault. Even for me. So this is the weekend that our family is celebrating our Ifa and our ancestors and Orisha and Efe and it's year number 6, and it's you know, I honestly could say that the very first time that I put a tent up in the backyard and invited people over and had drummers in the backyard and we were singing and dancing, in the back of my mind I'm thinking, you know, about my neighbors. You know, my next door neighbor is a bishop of a rather large church in the area, and my neighbors on the other side are of European descent. So I'm out there, you know, and we're doing our thing, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, oh, I wonder what my neighbors are thinking, and you know, maybe this isn't, you know, I need to manage this differently so that it doesn't cause anybody to be disturbed, or and it's taken year after year. So when you say your husband says be unrelenting, it takes a lot of energy to keep pushing this.
Absolutely.
And I believe that there are certain people's Oris, you know, I would say that the group of us 5 over here are just a representative sample of people who have the Ori who are strong enough to keep going with it and being unrelenting with it. And even in this group, if I would be willing to admit that the onslaught that comes from outside is of significance. You know, you have to push back against it. You know, I've had to learn how to be loud and proud, and not in an obnoxious way, but in a way that says, you know, in my circumstances, in my setting, you know who I am, right? I know what I'm doing. If you ask me a question, I can answer it clearly. And as a matter of fact, I'll always try to be extrapolating it out to the next this, and this, and to things that you hadn't even thought about. So when I come to work, and I do go to work in my Afrocentric clothes.
Wow.
And, I'm wearing my E-Day on a regular basis. It's just, that has absolutely nothing to do with what I come in here to do for you. This is what you pay me to do this. So, what I'm doing on my spare time or in my life is really not my spare time. It's away from here. What I do with my life and what supports me, don't concern yourself with that. Isn't that what?
Yes.
That sounds like my little, do not concern yourself with that. But the Ori is, Ori needs to be conditioned, and Ori needs to be fed.
Ooh, the conditioning.
Ori needs to have praise, and Ori needs to have an egg bay around it of like-minded people.
So you, give me 1 second, Ian. Hold on. Because that matters. You led up to what I was about to actually interject with, is that you have to surround yourself with people, even if you ain't at that point. It will come if you surround yourself with people who will help to uplift you. You understand what I'm saying?
Sometimes you don't even know how to do that. But you have to willingness and saying, okay, I'm ready. The people will come. It's the testimony. It's not theoretical.
That is a fact. And surrendering to that. You had that surrender, and once you the moment you surrender and say, you know what, I receive the lessons, and I receive the people, places, and things that will assist me on this journey. They're gonna start showing up as soon as you surrender. And so that's how you came about it. And you came about it. And you came about. And you came about. Because I decided to surrender and to release even the 15, 20-year friendship that wasn't going nowhere. Whoa. That was not feeding my spirit. That was not elevating me, and I wasn't elevating them. Because some people say, oh, we've been friends 20 years, but what, is it positive? Is it uplifting? Are you all rising together? What they do? What are you doing?
What do we have in common?
Exactly. You want to see your glow. I want to see your glow up. And when you start cheering for my glow up, we rising together, that's powerful. Yeah. That's extremely powerful. Yeah. So that's important also, to get that circle. When you get tired of people you're like, nah, I don't want to party no more. I kind of want to invest some money into some land and, and I want to study, and I want to, it's okay to party, and it's okay, to do some things, but to be somewhere that you can elevate your mind, body, and spirit, and financially, and, just, you need that type of mindset around you, with people saying in your ears, girl, you can do it. I know you can do it. Let me know. I can check my network. I'll help you. Look, I'll support you. I'll support your vision. And it's no rebuttal of jealousy. It's no rebuttal of insecurities coming from them. They're like, we're going to do this together.
Exactly. The other thing I think my experience about Ori is that it's kind of it's an extrapolation for me about what I was just talking about. As you grow up, you're with your parents and other people in your life, and you learn things from them. You hear them say things, you may repeat what they say. You say them do things, you may mimic what they do. And then at a certain point, you come into your own understanding of things, and you start choosing to, you are required to be your own adult individual. And when you start putting those behaviors and thoughts into practice in the world, you get feedback from the world. That's feedback that's given to an adult. It's not feedback that's given to a child. So you can get away with certain things when you're a child. But once you get to be an adult, that stuff may or may not work for you anymore. And I began the process of adjusting, right? One of the things I did when I was in college and when I was out of college was I used to smoke weed. I did do that. And my Ori got to the point where I didn't want to do that anymore because it was in the way. You know, there were things I wanted to do, and that was just in the way.
Yep.
And I found that once I made a decision, I was very good with making that decision. Yeah, this is not something for me anymore. And I had people around me who were always ignoring the fact that I said I was done with that. I had a really good friend, as a matter of fact, who would always, I told her, that part of my life is past. And every time we would get together, every single time we would get together, she would always try to, hey, don't you wanna? No, I already said I don't. So my Ori made a decision that friendship was going to have to go to the back burner because it was going to be me and my well-being and going in the direction I wanted to go versus being involved with somebody who was always trying to, for whatever reason, they wanted to see me stay where I was, which was where they were. So our Oris have to make choices sometimes that are kind of hard choices, and nobody else can make them for us. We don't want anybody else to make them for us. When people go to jail, it's because their Ori didn't make a choice, or their Ori made some bad choices, and they didn't put them in check. Sure. Sometimes people end up in situations where they didn't know. And I'm not talking about those right now. I'm talking about people who make conscious decisions to do things. Right. And then they end up in some difficulties. And Ori didn't choose well. And I don't want to make myself a sacrifice. Yeah. That's choosing to make yourself a sacrifice. Yep. That's choosing to sacrifice your time. It's choosing to sacrifice your energy. It's choosing to sacrifice your freedoms in some cases. So Ori is, what's the prayer? Ori, I hail you. Ori, I hail you. You are the only God who can go with me everywhere I go and never turn back. Right. If I'm going to buy a house, I'm consulting my Ori. If I want to have a relationship, I'm consulting my Ori. If I'm doing something on my job, I'm consulting my Ori. Right. You always consulting your head first. Even if you want to go get Dafa, you have to consult your Ori before you go to consult Ifa. It's always your Ori.
Always. Oh, look at you. Y'all pulling out all kind of wisdom out the sleeve.
But you know what? I want to go a little further because for myself, my Ibeji was made to Obatala at the same time I was made to Oshun. And she can be my rock because of that Obatala energy, that wisdom. She told me that I deal with the parasite. She calls it the parasite because it's something that feeds on a host. And the parasite that I deal with is a parasite of doubt from time to time. And I've had to deal with that on a number of levels. And sometimes I'll tell her that I'm having, these issues or what have you. Bye, Baba Swag.
Baba Swag, Baba Nollywood.
Baba Naija Swag.
Nollywood Swag.
You really know what
So you don't care about man. That's okay.
We didn't say that. We don't care about man. We don't care about man.
And so
did not say that.
The spirit of doubt.
But yeah, the spirit of doubt will get. Okay. I thought about this for a long time. My parents were supportive, of course, very supportive, stable household. But at the same time, we have to be mindful of trying to encourage our children to do what's best. Because we come to Earth with different plans. Of course, we forget about them according to the theology, and we have to figure our way out once we get here.
for me, I'm kind of out of the box a little bit, a lot kind of. As an artist, nursing stabilized me, made me like not totally crazy. But being an artist, you can tend to, your thought process can go all off someplace, because if you're creative, you're not just creative on one level. You are creative. And that means that it can be things that you're creating in your mind about other things, about other people, about this and that. So it becomes an issue of, for me, having to not create scenarios of, potential, oh, what if this and what if that, or, oh, I'm not going to be able to do the, but at the same time, I get bored easily. So I tend to move around and try different things, lots of different things. And then you look at people who, well, my sister and I are sort of opposite. She will stay solid right here. I can change. And then there's me, who's, I don't want to be here every day. I want to do something else. I think I want to do this, and okay, I'll come back and do this for a little while. I want to go do this. Well, it works for me, and it would work better, and it's going to work better, and it is working better, because I am accepting the fact that that's who the heck I am, and some people are like that. My Marie is wired like that. So if it's wired like that, and if it works okay when I'm doing it, why do I want to unwire it just because so I can fit into a box? I don't fit into a box. I just don't.
I'm going to touch and agree right there.
Yes. So that's the other part of the blessing of having 256 Odoo potential with thousands of verses.
Thousands.
Because we are not cookie cutter. It is not one size fits all. It is not everybody got to do this and everybody shouldn't do that. It depends on the situation and depends on the people. Because I have had things told to me that I thought that I didn't even ask about with Baba Swag out there. And he's like, well, so and so and so and so and so. I'm like, huh? Seriously? No, it ain't. And then I'll go right home, and there it is.
He'll show right on up.
Yeah, it'll show right on up. I'm thinking, okay, but life happens. So, as human beings, we go through a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And what I'm finding is that I have to not feel some kind of way or feel like I'm, strange. I need an anti-parasitic.
I like that one.
That's the nursing thing. I need something to keep that parasite from taking over the potential. Because, like somebody was saying, maybe it was you. We don't always know the opportunities coming. But if we have in our mind that it's not supposed to be, or that we can't do it, or that this or that, then we've already shot it down before it even comes. So
yes, with anxieties, PTSD from our traumas from childhood or abusive relationships or whatever that is,
or even from the post-slavery.
Yes,
because that can attach to DNA. Attached to our genes.
Yep. So exactly, and so those things awaken us and become blockages. I know for me, I suffer from PTSD, a lot of trauma and anxiety, but over the years, and it did not happen overnight.
No.
Using, getting tools to help it out, ease it out, to maintain, because it's there. It's nothing that won't go away overnight. It just won't. Therapy, all kind of tools, herbs, my circle, having a true friend or two. I don't tell a lot of people my business, but somebody I can really, depend on and talk to and exercise. I had to, and eat right and rest and all kind of different things. Be creative to help ease my anxiety and my trauma. And it's certain triggers. I know my triggers. But that took years to become aware of all of that. That did not happen overnight.
But I'm really glad you said that, because we'll have to talk about that later. But, but I had a similar experience in that I was taught to go for and deal with a certain level of stability that now I'm realizing that I may not either need or won't work for me as well as it works for other people. Because
everybody's different. When you say go for a certain stability, are you speaking of what we all kind of get told, go to get your education and get a good job, and not really living to what your passions were?
Right. Because all I wanted to do was write. When I was I could read.
And they say you can't get paid for that.
Right. Exactly. Nobody knew that. I grew up with. I love y'all. If my mom's watching, love you, Mom. But we've had this conversation, so she knows. But I mean, I had two parents who did the whole thing. They worked at a job for 30, 40 years, retired, got a pension, that's it. And doing, but
our life before that.
But it also aligned with who they were. Actually, my name before initiation was Omobalaji, and I was told that one of the meanings for that, or one of the things that is one of the reasons a child is given that name, is because they want the child to succeed in their profession because their parents did. And so my mother is, is a retired educator. She's a teacher. I mean, born teacher. Like, people ask me why I'm not a teacher. I'm like, because I was raised by one. And she was meant to do that, and I know what that looks like, and that's not my calling. Not exactly. My father was in law enforcement my whole life. That is what he was like. Yeah, well, that's more my mother, actually. But but yeah, so it was like, but he was good at his job. My grandfather was in law enforcement as well. So it was like, that just happened to align for them, which was rare for black folks of their generation in some ways too. But they got lucky. For me, all I wanted to do was write. I could read when I was 3. I've been writing since I could hold a pen. And when I got time to go to college, it was like, well, you can do that on the side.
That's what you were told.
So I got into, because it was like, get a job, do whatever. I figured, I would get married at some point, whatever, do that whole thing, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah.
I have a point to add about
that did not happen. So, and over the years, as I've been doing more of the spiritual work and things like that, it's like, okay, maybe I need to move around a little bit more. Maybe I need to, because I was so used to that stability. I never moved. I didn't move till I moved out of the house to go to college. We have never moved the house. They've been in the same house. My parents are the same. I have the same phone number that I had my entire life. It's like, so I was. That's my normal. And that's what I always, went for. It was like I thought I would have that. And now being at the age I'm at, and it's like I don't have it. And it freaked me out. And now I'm getting to a point where I'm like, okay, well maybe that's just not my life.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because we get influenced by people around us, and our Ori receives and processes and makes decisions. So I completely get the, parents who want every parent wants their children to be well.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. We as parents, because I'm a parent now, we don't really know any better,
right?
And we have to learn better. So, I was completely okay with trying to follow in that cookie cutter footstep of, okay, you're gonna go to college and then you're gonna get a job, and and I held one of the jobs I had for 30 years. It was just, that's where I was, and that's what I was doing, and that's just what it was. But I had choices. My Ori had a choice, because when I was in college, I was doing my science math thing, but I was also hanging out with the creative people, the musicians, and I would be someplace hanging out in the middle of the night singing with somebody, and they playing, and there was that creative part of me, but I was the one who wanted stability. Stability meant a lot to me. It still does. So I made a decision. My Ori decided that, yeah, you have creative abilities, but you don't like being hungry.
Oh, well, now.
Well, no, but let me put it in context, because the people that I was hanging out with at that time pretty much were starving artists. There's only one of them who really went someplace with that. There was one person in that circle who actually made it work. Wayne. Wayne made it work. You know, Wayne wrote music, and Wayne played with Frankie Beverly, and Wayne is in the pit with what's that show? It was either Star Search or one of those shows, you know, one of those. He made that work. But most of everybody else in that circle became a starving artist. And my Ori, we're talking about Ori here. So this is not about what we chose to do. It's about the process that we go through to make a choice. I'm talking about the process we go through to make a choice, not the choice we make. So the process that I went through to make the choice was, I had to weigh all the things that were important to me and the amount of risk that I wanted to take. You know, like, I could choose to try to be a vocalist, but I'm very shy. It took me until I was 40 years old to get up on a stage and sing publicly for anybody. So my Ori chose less risk. You know, I'm going to go to work, and eventually I'll figure that other part out. Other people are, you know, my sister's, she's different. You know, she's largely in charge and on stages, and, you know, wearing camos and camo parachute pants and what do you call them little things?
With stilettos.
No, with
tube tops.
No, the cowrie shell bra.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah, little fast
I don't know
self.
where that person came from.
What do you mean?
I don't know who that is. She was, but you know what? Here's the thing. When I went to school, I took my mother's advice. It was primarily my mother, because my father was kind of like, oh, well, you're good in art. You might want to be a mechanical engineer. I mean, he's thought out of the box back then. I wasn't too sure about that because I envisioned myself working with a whole bunch of men, and I thought, oh, God, that's just not, no, I don't know about that. So I went and I did the education thing until I got to my student teaching.
Yeah, and you hated it.
And I thought to myself, that's not going to work. Because these little children are kind of bad. And we didn't act like this in the house.
No.
And I'm not used to this. And somebody will be dead and I'll be in jail. So I thought, no, this won't work. I'll take plan B, which was nursing school. I have to say, nursing stabilized that artistic side out until I could get it together. And I was able to do both. And yes, there were difficult times, but there was other reasons for that. But yes, your Ori, mine kicked in and knew that was not going to work. So it was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this degree. Because that's how I ended up being able to work for the school system. I had a degree in education. It wasn't so, because my nursing is from a hospital school. But that education degree got me in the door at the district. So that was a good choice. But, yeah, you got to listen to the Ori. It was almost like my Ori would let me say, oh, I'm going to jump off this cliff and I'm going to be okay when I get there. And it would let me jump off and catch me.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It would
I
let
love
me
that.
jump off and then catch me. And
So I
There's
want
some questions here.
Yeah, I want to get an answer. Oshun Yoyin Jr.'s question, and I want to address that. Like let me turn this around. Like for myself, you know, Ian Nicole. She's in the egg bag.
Oh, I see.
And so, offerings, they're, you know, traditional and non-traditional offerings. I would say the first thing for me that worked for me is two things. Before I speak to anybody in the morning, grabbing my head in prayer out loud. Not silently, like out loud.
out loud, hold your
Like out loud. I don't care if somebody in the bed with you. I don't care. before you speak to anybody, you grab it. I thank you for waking me up. I receive the blessings. I reject all the bad. That's some. Say it in English, say it from your heart, say it in Europe, say it in French, whatever. That's the first. And always, for me, I have to say stuff out loud. So you may see me always talking to myself. Always, because I want my Ori to hear it. And I want my consciousness to hear it. My consciousness is my subconscious, but my Ori. Like, now you know that it's not good. We have to this. And I'm always in this we. Right, we. Right. Yes, I've learned that. In a partnership with my Ori. We. So I talk to myself a lot. It looked like I'm talking to myself a lot, but I'm talking to my Ori. So we in this partnership, But traditionally in Isheshe, the umbrella of everything, whether you're in Candomblé, diasporic worship, Lukumi, Santeria, whatever, Trini, you find out what your Ori requires. Sometimes it can be simply just water. And usually these things are done through divination, Karishil or Okwele, sometimes Kolanut, through OB divination as well. And you'll know specifically what offerings to give. Again, it could be simple things. It could be pigeon. It could be a hen. It could be a goat. It could be food. It could be cloth. It could be making sure your hair is neat and done all the time. Because that can cause chaos. When your hair is... Yes, fresh cut. Yeah, fresh. But when that Ori is just disorganized, not clean, not washed, that can cause a lot of confusion. Certain colors, certain covering your head when you're in different environments. Because this is like, even in Chinese medicine, all the meridians from all your circulatory system and your nerves meet at this point. Right here, at this point, the dew point. Right here.
Where the Ashe goes in.
And this is where the Ashe for initiation go in. This is where the Ori is. Right here. This is the area which come out of the birth canal first. Right here. This area. You understand what I'm saying?
And you know what? And people who have locks, who do not... Now, I'm not saying everybody. Please don't get on me, because I'm not saying this. But I do know of some people who wash their locks every 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah,
now,
God.
I'm just saying.
And they be all over the place. Tutu all up, yes.
And it's like, you need to cut that stuff off if you can't handle it. Or you need to find time, make time to wash your hair. You can't just do that. You can't. And I tell them that people, this is ridiculously simple. But if you want to do something herbal, this comes from my Lukumi training, my Lukumi thought process. Get you some fresh sage and some fresh basil. Put it in some water, mush it up, mush it up, mush it up, mush it up, mush it up till the water turns green. Wash your hair, rinse it with that, say prayers, you're already simple.
That basil real strong.
Anybody
fresh
can do it.
Basil would kill off any negative, anything. It is really, really good.
Very easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So what?
I have a friend who also says it's important that we call ourselves into being every day. Yeah. So that maybe you get up, when you get up or you take a shower or a bath, that you call your name and you say it out loud.
So I've been like Sade.
Say your whole name.
Oh, my whole, okay.
Embedded in your whole name is the essence of who you are. It's about your destiny.
And all those names mean something.
Call yourself
Start manifesting
every day by saying all of your names.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna start that. Because all my name, all like 8, 10 of them, have a meaning to stand up.
So I like that. So I get up and I hold my head and pray, because that's what I was told to do. It specifically came up in Dafa. Get up and pray and hold your head. But I like that because everybody can do it. You can do it anywhere. You can be sitting on the train. You can get up and run out the house on the way to work late. Ooh, I'm the queen of be running late. And you could be sitting there and you holding your head and you praise your Ori, you know. And somebody may think, oh, you know, does she have a headache or something wrong? It's like, no, there's nothing wrong. I'm trying to make things right. And it's something that it's easy to do. It's easy to share. It's easy to engage. It's probably easy. It may be easy. Excuse me, to engage your family, you know, your children, your spouse with that type of prayer. You don't have to. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. I guess that's what I'm getting to. It's not complicated. Even a 4-year-old can have a mantra of, you know. No, seriously.
It's true.
No. I was laughing because I was thinking about that viral video, that little girl, and she's standing on the bathroom mirror or whatever. She's like, "I'm great. I'm awesome. I'm having a fun day. I'm great. My mom's great."
Her mother has her do that daily.
But can you imagine? So even if you're dealing with trauma or doubt or post-traumatic whatever, to be able to interrupt and disrupt by doing that, because you then replace those things that are blocking with your own prayers to yourself, because we are manifestations of the divine. And so to constantly be able to say things out loud, to praise and uplift who we are, will begin to disrupt those things that block.
So that's going to lead me into my last segment. I think this will be the last segment. Well, first, before we go into that, offerings. What offerings do you suggest if somebody want to just do general offerings to the Ori? What elders, please, one by one, please.
I think that the simplest thing that anybody can do without anything added is simply hold your head and do the affirmations to your own Ori. You know, other things I have been told is water. I was told by my old Lulo to go out and stand in the rain sometimes. You know, let that rainwater hit my head.
From God. Yes.
Put my Obi. You know, I pray and use Obi Cola to complete my prayers. So I'll put the Obi on my head when I'm doing my prayers. I don't do a lot with honey or, so, you know, when we make offering to Ori, there's something that's called for on a regular basis. But in speaking to just
general public that's not initiated, they don't have.
I would recommend, and maybe my A-Bay sisters here would embellish, is hold your head and pray for yourself, unabashedly, selfishly for you and your outcomes. Pray for yourself first. Because it's like what did your baby say? Put your own mask on first before you start trying to help your children or your husband. Because if you falling down,
I told me that 2 weeks ago. Take care of me first.
You better take care of you first.
Ooh, that was my revelation today too.
Well, you know, here's from working with people in hospitals and various places, taking care of people for 30 years, more than 30 years, taking care of children. It's time for me to take care of me, I guess. I mean, you know. And I have to learn to put me first.
It's something like that takes time, it seems like, to learn.
And it's not selfish. It's just take care of you first. Don't say don't take care of nobody else. Right. Just you first.
You first, exactly. Because if you're not together, the foundation isn't together. Right. Nothing else. Everything will be crumbling down. Right. So I'm the next segment, last segment is mental health and Ori. The depression. I mean, it's really, really, really something we need to address in our community. That's number one. Number two, and it's like the trauma just keep getting bigger and bigger because what we see, I cannot absolutely watch the news. I have 3 sons, and it's not a day that go by that I have to really get my mind focus and write and talk to myself, nothing is gonna happen to my children. Nothing is gonna happen to my children because of the black boys that's getting killed. Like if you keep hearing it and seeing it, you like, damn, you know, my child, you know. So that's PTSD, you know, and so that leads to anxiety and depression. That's mental health issues. So I have to. It is every day I have to fight it off. It's not a day that don't go by. As a human being, I have to fight that. I have 3 black boys in this America KKK. So
Elijah doesn't have children, but all of us have sons.
yes, all of it, and just depression that we may go through, or anything that's dealing with the mental health. And mental health is connected to the ORE because it'll start, those negative thoughts and situations will start to suppress the ashe of the ORE and make, once the ORE is weak, and this is what I was told, and so many elders different from all over the place. When your ORE is weak, it starts to make the body weak. And sickness will be able to creep in. And that's when you start having all kind of ailments. Diabetes, high blood pressure, bad knees, arthritis. Those things start coming into play. So when the ORE is not strong, the body isn't strong. The spirit isn't strong. It's all connected. ORE, everything is connected to ORE. Nobody, it's just no doubt about that. So what suggestions, or what do you, let's talk about that, mental health and ORE.
Well, let me just say, as an educator, I'm at a community college, and I've been doing this work for almost 30 years, and I've seen the increase in students coming with all kinds of mental health issues, anxiety, really bad anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation. It's really something to see, and I'm talking about students of color. So because of this, it has increased my interest in knowing more about trauma and what is trauma, and trauma-informed care. So there's a book, a really good book that a brother wrote called My Grandmother's Hands. And in that book, it's a book that I suggest people get, but he talks about trauma and how trauma lives in the body. Trauma lives in the body. It hits so you know, because if we were just talking,
I know.
about res McMinicum, something like that. My Grandmother's Hands. And how trauma lives in the body. And in that book, he definitely has exercises, but there are, with the new research now around epigenetics and looking at the different dimensions of trauma, because we know there's single incident trauma, there's complex trauma, there's historical trauma, intergenerational trauma, but whatever it is, he has some things that people can do to begin to shift the body, because it lives in the body. And then there's another book, I don't know the person who wrote it, The Body Keeps the Score. Same concept about trauma and how it lives in the body. And so it's impacting people not only physically, along with their mental health, right? Emotional health, intellectual health, it's all being impacted. And so the ideal in both of those books is that if you want to begin to shift that, you cannot leave out the physical piece of it, because we say, okay, go get talk therapy or go get some drugs. But there's some other things that you need to do to begin to move those things, to begin to remove the blocks that will block, your true essence in your ORE. So it's to start that body work.
That's some great advice. I'm gonna go on to order that book. That will help me.
Tells us that.
I will.
Stress can trigger behavioral and mental health issues. Substances can trigger behavioral and mental health issues. So it's difficult. I try to keep in mind when we do these live forums that everyone that's listening may not be in the practitioner relationship. And what's the simplest thing someone can do to bring themselves into alignment? And holding your head and praying every day is one of those things. But the other thing I believe strongly in is being attuned to your own body and your own ori, and knowing when something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And that gets back to what I was saying about when I decided that I wasn't smoking weed anymore. It didn't feel right. You know, it didn't feel right. So don't overlook circumstances or behaviors that you are maybe doing, or maybe something you've done for a long time, but doesn't feel right. You know, social media is wonderful for things like this. It's good to be able to reach out and talk to people, but social media is. I always told my sons that I thought the downfall of social media is, for adolescents in particular, is that it doesn't allow them to really be adolescents. So adolescents, you're supposed to be saying stupid stuff and doing dumb stuff, and you kind of tumble through, and then you realize that some of the things you were doing weren't correct, and you can move on. But social media creates a circumstance where things just stick, and they follow you and follow you and follow you and follow you and follow you. And it's also the age that the children are living in now is one where everything happens. You talked about this, where everything happens so fast, and they think that everything is supposed to happen fast. Right. And in understanding how EFI works, I'm sure everybody here knows you can sit on that mat and get a DAFA or some D-Logoon divination, and a message comes to you, and something's coming, and you're like, okay. And then, you know how it goes. And days pass, and maybe weeks pass, and maybe months pass, and maybe years pass. And then, like, festival time comes around again, and you're like, wait a minute. But I heard something last year that was supposed to come, and it's not here yet. And it doesn't work like that. No. And it can create a depressive state of being if you don't really understand holistically how this is supposed to work.
Or false,
you'll be mad.
Or false hope. Or false hope. Or false hope.
It's impatience.
Or false hope. Well, no, I don't think it's false hope, because when I sat down for DAFA, things that I've been told in DAFA typically have come to being unless I interrupted it.
Lordy,
they all went, woo,
that right there.
You can interrupt some things.
Sit down and shut up and wait.
That's what she said. She just got straight.
Suru, patience, yes, patience.
It is possible to interrupt.
Because sometimes some of the stuff in divination can take literally years to manifest. People, that's the thing with E5 Norisha readings. People like, they think it's just magic, and it's supposed to go poof. It's happening real soon. No, because some of the decisions that you consciously make will block some of those blessings from manifesting right away, and you got to do something in your character sometime.
Or sometimes, like you all always saying, sometimes it's about getting things out of the way. And I think for me, that's been a big thing in my journey. It's been they're clearing the way.
Yep.
So it's not so
and that
much
can take
like
years. Oh God. Oh Lord. I know that one for sure.
But
yes.
Say
it again, Ian.
I said, especially if you're trying to hold on to it.
Say it 1 minute. Say it one more time. Wait a minute.
I said, especially if you're trying to hold on to it.
That man, that woman, that job, that school, that all of that house, that everything, that debt, that every damn thing that you are struggling not to let go, knowing you don't need it. Handle that. Let it go.
It's always been like
let it go.
Clearing. Like they're like, we're trying to get all the stuff out of the way so that when it comes, you can keep it, so nobody can take it from you. Because one of the messages that I got was that and it hit me in my chest. Like I had to sit down for a second. They were like, people can see more for you than you can even see for yourself. So they're always trying to like get ahead of you and block it before you can even get it. So and that's when I realized, oh, that's why everything kind of slow, because they have to like sweep out the stuff.
Yes.
Before. And quick plug here on the back to the topic. I'm a big fan of therapy. I started going when I started, one round was when I was like 16, 17. The next one was just before my first godparent said anybody who was late for initiation, she wanted them to go see somebody for. So I went like for a checkup real quick. So that was like another. And then the third time I was dealing with a lot of grief. I had lost someone, and it was just a very, very difficult time. And basically, I think I was like on a mild level of like some like situational depression. Just through all of that and all these changes that were going on. I had lost a really good friend. There was like some relationship stuff going on. So then that was another round. So I'm a big fan of, for me, what's worked a lot is that plus all the traditional stuff. But it's been a both and.
Sometimes you have to do both. Yeah.
And I haven't personally been on medication, but I no shame in that. I mean, sometimes it's literally your mind. They're just imbalanced.
The physical part,
the physical part. There's something that needs rewiring, unwiring, to be wired a different way.
Genetically, sometimes you need it.
And these things and those things run in my family. So I've been fortunate in that, clinically I haven't, been to that stage, but I mean, it's real. So if that's what you need, I know there's a lot of back and forth in our communities a lot about this, but for me, I'm like, if you know that runs in your family, go to somebody reputable. Even if it's a holistic person, some holistic people will tell you, look, you need to be on this for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at least, just to get yourself level.
Get yourself stabilized. Yep.
That's it.
And go forward.
And ain't no wrong with integrative medicine. I know that for sure. Like, very important
and useful.
I'm
just saying that we, these students, that's the first thing. And I'm like, well, who are you talking to, though? Nobody. I just go, get a checkup every so many months for the meds. No. You got to, if you take the meds, then who are you talking to on top of that?
Therapy
There's a lot of
very important.
Especially, the medicine, medical apartheid. In our communities.
It's true. The opioids, the methadone, name it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's gonna be a new tag for me. New tag. So what's that statement you was saying? Like when you give an offering, when you just said the hand, even if the character.
Oh, she was responding to. Oh, that.
Yeah, but that's real important.
Easy. That
if people want to just do EJ offerings, like animal offerings, that's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. The behavior changes are what's difficult. And a lot of times, most of the time, when I do divination, especially since I've been to Nigeria and seen what the EJ offerings are really for. Baba Bimbola told me years ago that E5, the system of E5 is based around food. And I was trying to think, what does he mean it's based around food? This weekend?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's based around food.
And all the food was eaten.
And all the food was eaten. All of it. All of it.
Of the food
So, okay, it's based around food. It's important to feed the community. It's important to feed mouths. But at the same time, you still got your Ori to deal with. And if you don't address the condition of the broken or the cracked Ori or the weak Ori, because some people chose weak Ori when they came because of that story that we talked about first off, where Ajala was not there when they were choosing heads, and they just picked the head off the thing and came on to earth and it was faulty. Okay, so then if you don't address and those are all, very symbolic, but they're symbolic. That's the whole point. So if you don't choose to actively address your issues, then that faulty, quote unquote, head goes with you through life.
Yeah.
And you'll never be able to really accomplish the destiny that you came here to accomplish, you got to address your own issues. And that requires you looking in the mirror, figuratively and symbolically. Who are you? Who am I? What am I doing? What do I need to change? What what
being
is this
accountable.
like? Accountable.
You know how many people are not accountable?
Right.
They don't want to. They don't want to own up to their stuff.
Right.
They be like, "Oh, it's her.
Common
Oh, it's him.
sense.
Oh, it's them. It's the job. It's everybody
right.
else
It's
but them."
everybody else
I'm
but
so
them.
tired. Like that right there. People don't want to own up to their own bad habits
And that
bad
doesn't mean
choices.
bash ourselves.
Right.
It just means own up.
Do
to this
better.
and
Own up to
whatever,
it and do
it.
better. That's it.
It's that simple and that complicated, I guess. What? Oh,
She said,
No, me and Jerry on the same page here.
So,
I want to say one
yes,
thing
yes,
too,
ma'am.
because you had asked about mental health and Ori, and I think it's what everyone has said, but just to reiterate that I think the best one thing that everybody can do is to constantly counter the urge to insult and beat up self and Ori. So if you can, so that's a step, just that right there. It's and I think that we can make agreements with ourselves about not doing those kind of things, and that can start to help just by making a personal agreement that I will not do that.
I think that just to color that a little bit, if we know that we have a tendency to some degree of what I'm gonna call obnoxious behavior, we need to own those and make some attempts to modify that. But that doesn't mean put ourselves down.
Like
It
I'm
just
stupid. I'm
right. No. I just mean, if there are things that you do that you find when you're doing something or saying something that people are kind of stepping away from you, they stop talking to you, they exclude you, then
So you're talking about honesty.
yeah, be honest with
But you're
yourself.
honest with yourself.
Don't put
But
yourself
don't fail
down,
to do that.
but be honest with yourself. You know,
It's like it's the objective self,
right?
the objective self
Right.
that can speak the truth without abuse, without abusing yourself.
And listen to sometimes when people tell you things, they're telling you something. It may hit you incisively, but it's good feedback to have. It's like when I was saying, years ago, that I would be so pissed off with people and their bad ass behavior at work that I'd be walking around frowning all the time.
With badass behavior.
Well, no, it wasn't that my behavior was
Well, I'm just
bad.
saying the
It was
frowning,
that
though.
it was that it was not. It was hard. Nobody wanted to. They didn't know where I was coming from because I was always, looking at people like, scowling, and and two of my coworkers within a period of time told me the same thing. They were like, one guy was like, Patricia, you have such a beautiful smile, but no one would ever know. This is exactly what he said to me. He said, you have a really nice smile, but no one would ever know because you always got that look on your face.
Really? She always smiling. I can't see it.
But it was true.
Wow.
So sometimes people are going to tell you stuff, and your Ori has to be able to receive what you need to receive sometimes. I was like,
It can be difficult too.
This can be hard. It's like,
Well, it'll
bleed
come
a
back
minute.
around.
Yeah.
If you don't.
and the Odu also say, do not live life in a hurry. And that's what I've had to learn, how to slow myself down, slow my mind down, plan differently. If it means get up 20 minutes early so I don't have to rush and be freaked out because I don't like to be late. Do not live life in a hurry. That's difficult these days because
It is
life
a
has been
stress.
made to be in a hurry. That's what we've
Microwave
created.
world.
That's what we've created. But
Yes, that's why we gotta have an app now to tell us to look in the back seat
Oh
to
my
make sure we don't leave
God,
our
yes.
kids in the back seat.
What?
yes,
And cars
What?
are now there's some new feature that's being added to cars,
With
so
the
to check the
sensors,
back
something.
seat
Yeah.
feature, so that you don't leave your children in the back
the
seat.
brain is being
My kids so loud they would never ever be forgotten. He be like, "Mommy," he's knocking on the window. I'm here. No,
That's not funny though. I don't
but it's
like
not.
that. I do not like
It's
that at all.
horrible.
I don't like it at
I
all.
never,
Yeah, but
and
people
you
are
didn't
so
start
smart.
hearing about that until like recent. I would say 10 years, the last 10 years, and it's just because of all the microwave world, the technology, that everything just gotta go.
Right.
Oh, people are stressed.
Yeah, because yeah. Damn.
Exhausted, tired.
Wow. Yeah, everything is a process. It is. So, yes, I agree, Ia Omini. Did y'all want to have any closing remarks? I mean, y'all dropped some bombs. I gotta go home and reflect on, order these books
I
and
have to think about too. You know.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I love my egg bay. This is my Oberon, my egg bay, Oberon LAY. The egg bay are beautiful women. I mean, every single one has been down for me, has supported me, I love them so much. Everybody needs their egg bay, their group that can just uplift them. I mean, these women here say the most positive and real truth to me when I need it and when I don't want it.
And who's gonna want the best for you? The best for you individually,
Yeah.
and know who you are, so that they can want that best for you.
Yeah. Ashe, I do. Hey, thank you. Y'all got to go back and read the comments. Make y'all comments later on. This was awesome. If y'all have any questions, post them after the video, and then the ears can go through and answer them. And they are available.
Keep doing the round table.
Oh, that might be a series, a quarterly series,
Well, here's
maybe.
the question.
Maybe.
Is it possible? I don't know if it's technologically feasible to do it with people being in different places.
Yes, you can do it. Just invite. Yeah, everybody got to be on Wi-Fi, and then this little picture thing right here, you just push it, and then we'll invite you all. And you can be in Cali, you can be in Ohio, you can be anywhere. You can be in Ghana, you can be anywhere. And we can do it quarterly.
Her in Ghana.
So we got Ia Jerry who takes people back to Ghana,
gotta go
to
on
the
her
roots.
Ghana trip.
She has wonderful here. Shout it out. Shout out
Yes, in Krabia, homecoming pilgrimages to Ghana. In Krabia, it's the soul's destiny.
And what's the website? If there's
Oh,
a website?
I don't know website.
Oh, okay.
But you can hit me up at abagerry@gmail.com. ABAGERRI@gmail.com.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful trip. Wait, let me give you some commentary. Because I went in February. I was in Ghana for my birthday, and I had so much of a good time in Ghana. I really did. We had a small group. How many there were? 9 of us?
Well, 10.
There were 10 of us. It was a small group, so it wasn't like a lot of us. But it was just so... It was so personable. It was well planned. It was well thought out. Everything went smoothly.
It looked fun.
It was fun.
I gotta go.
The food was delicious. The dancing was good. The beach was good.
The point of no return. You went there, right?
Yeah, I went to the slave dungeons. That was you have if for no other reason that you go to Africa, you must go and see the condition that our ancestors endured being brought over here. And that in itself, I think, would inspire you to make some life changes. It's transformative. It's transformative.
Ashe. I gotta get there. And so I'm shouting out Ia Jerry. You gotta hit her up, y'all. And then right here, Ia Yemi, with her singing and her
I don't sing much anymore.
But you're amazing, though.
Thank you.
Yes, you're amazing. And then Ia Oshunakatami, who sings, and she is the bomb diviner who has taught Ia Oshunakatami, and Ia Yemi has taught me some great things on divination and Odu and Eshu and just all kind of wisdom. And then we have Ia Oshun Balaji, who has taught me so much as well, an exchange of energy and being positive and just having my back. So I thank you also. And me, hit us up anytime. Thank you for coming out. And now we will consider having the round table consistently, quarterly instead of yearly, because everybody needs it. Everybody needs the wisdom of some elder. Everybody doesn't have an elder.
That's true.
Everybody does not have an elder or a mentor to look up to or to give them positive information and wisdom. So this definitely will be considered. I will talk to my elders about it. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night. Odabo.